Page Arts. I'm Veronica Anderson. I go by Mrs. A. So for printmaking today, I want you to really think like, when do I send out a card? Holidays, thinking of you, Happy Valentine's Day, Merry Christmas. Well, the great thing is that we can create a stamp so that you can send this card out to multiple people, or maybe like little gift cards that you're gonna attach to a present, thinking of you cards, and holiday cards. The great thing is you just make one stamp, but you can create so many different artworks with that one stamp. So we're gonna go over materials. All right, to create the actual stamp, I have a styrofoam plate that I'm going to cut the middle out of. I'll need a pencil to carve into the styrofoam. I also have some craft foam that I wanted to use to make a stamp. So maybe if you have some craft foam that you've been making some other art projects out of, you can use craft foam to make a stamp. You can even use, like if you've been getting packaging and you have some bubble wrap or anything, that's a great thing you can make a stamp out of, or to make a texture on a paper. I would grab an ink pad. If you don't have an ink pad, grab Crayola markers. This will provide the ink that we need to actually make the print from our stamp. Last but not least, I'm gonna use this top from one of my drinks to create my stamp as well. It's a great project to upcycle. So we are printmaking, and the great thing about printmaking is we can take our stamp and we can create that print with different colors. We can create that print multiple times. I could make 50 cards for Easter. I could make 50 cards for Christmas. For the styrofoam plate, the first thing I have to do is cut away this plate part, the perimeter. So I've cut that away and I have a circle. It doesn't have to stay a circle. I can cut this out into any shape I want. Sometimes I'll take like a Post-it note and that'll be kind of the size of the square. And also I can print on this now if I make it the same size. So I've already kind of cut out a square, or I can actually create a round stamp as well. So the styrofoam, really you can cut it into any shape you want. For the foam piece, I kind of did a Christmas themed one here. Using my pencil, I was able to create all of these ornaments on the Christmas tree, and I've printed it with the green marker. So now I wanted to try something different. I wanted to take this stamp, and instead of printing it green again, I thought that I would try to make it a little more colorful or do something different. I'm just taking a piece of white construction paper. This works on computer paper, watercolor paper, whatever type of paper you want. And then I've created my card. Sometimes I like creating these stamps and then cutting them out into different sizes and then putting them on a different color paper. I'll probably put white on the inside so then I can inscribe a note on it. All right, so I've colored in my tree to how I like it. I'm just gonna move the stamp here. I have my paper folded, and now I need to wet my paper. I decided instead of a spray bottle, I would just wet a clean sponge here, and then I have a little more control of where my paper gets wet. Sometimes when you wet the paper, it'll curl up a little bit. It's really not a problem. After it dries, you can put it underneath like a couple of books or something to kind of flatten your paper back out. I'm gonna check the wetness with the back of my hand. Yep, that feels about good. So I'm gonna take my stamp and I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna place it in the wet area of the paper. And now I'm gonna really make sure I'm pressing the back close to the edges, because I really want those edges to show up, the contour or the outline of my stamp. I wanna make sure that gets transferred. So we've made a stamp, and right now we're making a print of our stamp. And the best thing about stamps is you can reprint and you can change the colors, which is what we're gonna do. So I think I have pressed down all over the back of my stamp. I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. Oh, I'm so nervous. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna go under the paper, help myself lift the stamp up. Oh my goodness, I love how colorful that is. So here I just colored it with green, right? Now I just took the markers and I was able to create a whole different artwork, but it's the same stamp. So right now, I'm pretty happy with that outcome. I'm just gonna put it up here. I'm gonna wipe off any of the residue of the markers. I'm going to use a damp cloth. You can use a baby wipe, whatever it is that you'd like. And we're just gonna wipe it off. And I think I'm gonna color this in. Again, I actually wanna do 3 of this tree. And I need to go up here. Even though the yellow doesn't really show on this orange foam, I wanna make sure I really get all of these marker colors off of my stamp so that I can recolor it and stamp it again. Or I should say print it again. We are going to make prints of our stamps. Wow, look at, this is its own art project. Kind of like making a tie-dye. No, I'm just kidding. Here we go. I have wiped it down and now I'm gonna go ahead and recolor it. I do like the way the green looks, except you know what? I think I'll add a little brown for the trunk of it. So I've wiped it down. I'm just going to recolor again. And this happens so quickly. You know, look at, I'm using the side of the marker. That way I can get a nice thick application of this marker and it happens fast. All right, so I colored over it with the green. I have my folded paper and now I need to wet it down again. Here we go. I'm just gonna wet the area that I want. And okay, I've wet it down. I'm gonna pick up my stamp, place it down where I want it, and again, pressing the back of it. I really wanna make sure I get to the edges, all the way to each of those little triangles. If you have marker on the backs of your fingers, be careful, you don't wanna touch your paper or you're gonna get a finger mark. So just be aware of that. All right, I'm pretty much ready to pick this up. And something I wanna do with this particular artwork, or this card, is add to it. So I'm gonna create a whole nother stamp that's gonna go with this one now. Here we go. Oh, I like it. And you know what? I didn't wipe it all the way, so it kind of changed my green here. And I actually like that it's not just one solid color. Okay, because I did this so quickly, I just wiped it down. And you know, that's why I say there's no mistakes in art. So that's where maybe the red and the orange were, and now it's changed the color of my green, but I like it. I'm gonna go with it. So I wanna create a star. And I was thinking, I really like making sure I use my materials. So here's where I had cut out the stamp, right, of my tree. So I'm now going to use this to create maybe a star that can go on top. And because it's gonna be so small, I decided to take this top from my drink and I'm gonna glue the star down on top of my little drink cap there. And it's gonna make it easier for me to reuse this stamp, to reprint it, because I don't have to worry about my dirty fingers anymore. Oh, this foam, I can definitely see my, my pencil line. In fact, if I color this star right now, I could print it, but I wanna cut this one out. So I'm just easily gonna cut right into that foam. I'm actually using some little scissors here and it cuts the foam just fine. I don't need any heavy duty scissors or anything like that. There, now that I've cut it out, I have my handy glue stick. I'm gonna glue it onto my cap. And I'm gonna be able to use this star, not just for this Christmas card, but I'll show you how I can use this stamp in other ways as well. So I'm just gonna glue this down and I'm going to print it. And I think I'll print it right here. Let me get my glue stick, just get some glue on the back here. There we go, and glue it down. Nice. And I will be able to have this stamp for use of other cards as well. So I'm just going to color that in and add it to my tree. I'm just going to put some yellow on top. I have to be careful, I just glued it down. There we go. And let me see how this will look. I'm always so nervous because I, do this live. So you're going to see if it works or not. Let's see if this is going to work. I have a good feeling. I think I'm going to bring it right up here on the top of the tree. Press down and pick it up. I love it. And if I want, I can just let this dry for a little bit. I can go back and outline. I can color in some of those dots. I can add other ornaments, but I want to go ahead and move on. So here I have 3 different cards, all made with one stamp, but yet they all look very different. All right, so I had a friend help me out with an Easter egg, and then the same principle was applied. And I want to tell you, my friend created this Easter egg and didn't like the way it turned out on this side. And I said, no problem. We're working on Styrofoam. Great thing is, you can just flip it over and continue with a whole new stamp. Also, my friend created this line that they didn't like. I don't know if you can really see it on camera, but it didn't matter. It only prints where you color with the markers. So I'm not going to color the entire stamp. I'm going to leave some of that paper on the side, or not paper, the Styrofoam. And anywhere I do not color with the marker, it will not print. So right now I'm doing the Styrofoam, and I'm going to kind of do it the same way as we did that Christmas tree. I'm going to color it in. I'm going to wet my paper. I can either spray my paper or I can wet it with the sponge and print it over and over and over again. So here it is. It's kind of an Easter egg, and I'm just going to continue to color it. Okay, so I have taken this Easter egg, I've colored it in some different colors. I am taking my sponge, wetting the paper where I want it to go. And although it was originally drawn as an Easter egg, I'm gonna surprise my friend. I'm gonna go ahead and print this up towards the top of the paper, pressing down, making sure I get all of those details and the color transferred onto my paper. I feel like I did a good job pressing around, and I'm gonna pick it up. There we go. And I kind of like that some of the color didn't transfer. That gives me a chance to go back and kind of add some details, because I can always go back and color on top. But right now, I wanted to turn this Easter egg into something totally different. I am now going to make it into, have you guessed yet? A balloon. And I can go back and I can add those details. I'm just gonna go around the perimeter of this balloon now. Look at that. I made a stamp and I can use it for a couple of different occasions now. And then that green that didn't really come out in the transfer here, I can go back and just color it where I wanted it the green. There we go. You can go back with any color you want. You can always go back and add details. All right, so now I have Easter done. Birthday card done. I can write happy birthday. We have used the foam to create a stamp and some different cards here. Now I just want to show you that we can also create a card, and we can really upcycle, which always makes me excited. All right, so I decided to go ahead and cut out some papers and kind of create my cards ahead of time. I had this extra paper that I was using for a different project, and I'm glad I didn't throw away the scraps. So it kind of looked like a beehive. So I created a little bee stamp and glued it down again to a top. And I can create like a little bee going around on the beehive. And this can be like a little note to someone. This note is written to you just because. So I like that we can create a stamp and use an ink pad to create the prints. So that was done with an ink pad. And last but not least, there is, like, if you've gotten any packages in the mail and you want to use the texture to create something on a card, I wanted to show you, I did a little tester of this, and when I wet the paper, it kind of bled a little bit, but that's pretty by itself. I just wanted to let you know, when we color on top of plastic, the marker stays wet for a little bit. So this bled a little bit, and then I tried it on a piece of paper and did not wet the paper. So that's the difference. I just wanted you to see, so you can kind of make that decision on your own of whether you want to wet the paper or not if you're using like a plastic recycled paper. And I cut out this heart. So I just wanted to kind of create a heart card. Maybe it will be for, hey, maybe I'll turn it to the side. Maybe it can be for Valentine's Day or something. So we have created a whole lot of stamps today. Maybe you're thinking of what kind of card you want to create, what holiday is coming up. Parents, if you are making invites for a birthday party for your child, you can have the children create their own invites. It's a great way to personalize things, something you can't just go to the store and buy. How wonderful that you would get something that was created by hand. I'm just gonna put this right on here. Again, I used recycled material. I'm upcycling. I used my ink pad, or I can use markers. But this one I decided to try with the ink pad. And I'm just really making sure I press around. Now I know this has a texture, so I don't think it's gonna give me a perfect heart. Ooh, if I did this side, I wonder if it would. But I wanted to see the texture. So when I pick this up, it doesn't show up so much. But again, this is the wonderful thing about printmaking. It can dry a little bit, or you can go right into it. And I love that texture. Just gonna go around this heart. There we go. I am so excited. I have so many different people I can send different cards to. I might be printing, I might add some extra details. I cannot wait to see what you create.